When God builds a man, he doesn't do it in a moment. He does it in seasons, through struggle, through stillness, through fire and silence. He doesn't just hand over strength, he forges it. He doesn't give answers right away, he teaches patience. And when he builds a man, he is not just interested in what the man can do, but in who the man becomes. God builds a man in the dark when no one is watching. In the quiet places where pride is stripped away and character is formed, he allows disappointment to shape humility. He uses delay to grow faith. He stretches a man until what's weak breaks and what's strong stays. God isn't building convenience, he's building conviction. The world celebrates what's seen. God focuses on the unseen. A man built by God may be hidden for a time, misunderstood, even overlooked. But God is not rushed. He is crafting someone who can carry purpose with purity, someone who can lead without losing themselves, someone who doesn't just survive storms, but stands through them. When God builds a man, he builds him to last. He's not made of ego or applause, but of integrity, endurance, and quiet trust. He's not driven by the approval of people, but anchored in the calling of God. That kind of man doesn't crumble when life gets hard. He stands because God built him that way. So if you're in a season where it feels like nothing's moving, where the weight is heavy and the way is unclear, take heart. Maybe God isn't punishing you. Maybe he's building you. And when God builds a man, he finishes what he starts. When God builds a man, he never rushes the process. It is never instant or hurried. True growth and transformation take time, often much longer than we expect or desire. This growth unfolds through various seasons, some filled with struggle, others with silence, and many with what may feel like waiting or even emptiness. It is not something that happens overnight or in a single moment of triumph, but instead it is a gradual and deliberate process, one that shapes a man's heart, mind, and spirit in ways that are deep and lasting. The idea of instant change is tempting in a world that values quick fixes and immediate results. We want progress that we can measure quickly, milestones that are visible and celebrated publicly. But when God is building a man, he often chooses a different path. He works quietly and patiently, often away from the eyes of others, in seasons that may feel confusing or difficult. These seasons are necessary because they create the conditions for true growth to happen. Growth that is not just surface level or temporary, but that goes deep into a man's character and soul. Struggle is a key part of this process. God allows struggles because they test and stretch a man's faith, resilience, and patience. Struggle teaches lessons that comfort never could. It shows a man his weaknesses, forcing him to rely on something greater than himself. In the midst of hardship, a man learns to persevere, to find strength even when he feels weak, and to trust in God's timing and purpose. These moments of struggle are not punishments. They are opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more grounded. Silence also plays a crucial role. There are times when God seems quiet, when answers don't come quickly, and when the path forward is unclear. These silent seasons can feel lonely or discouraging, but they are essential for reflection and inner work. In silence, a man learns to listen to God, to his own heart, and to the truths that often get drowned out by noise and distraction. It is in these quiet moments that the foundation of faith and character is built. Silence teaches patience and humility, reminding a man that he is not in control and that some things must unfold in their own time. The process is not always easy to understand or accept. It can feel like waiting without progress or working hard without reward, but this is part of the refinement that God is doing. Like a skilled craftsman shaping wood or metal, God patiently works on a man, removing what is unnecessary and strengthening what is good. This refining process takes time because it is thorough. Every part of a man's life, every thought, decision, and habit is subject to God's careful shaping. Patience that creates the lives of others at age. For the things that God does for us, our promise and expectancy offer growth through time, also means that a man is prepared for the challenges and responsibilities ahead. If growth were instant, it would often be shallow and incomplete. But when God builds a man over time, he ensures that the man is ready not just for success, but for endurance. He builds strength that can withstand pressure and integrity that can hold steady in difficult circumstances. This long process equips a man to lead, to love, and to live with purpose and faithfulness. It's important to recognize that the seasons of growth are often invisible to others. The world may only see the finished product, but the true work happens behind the scenes. During these times, a man might feel overlooked or unappreciated. He might question why progress seems slow or why God's hand feels hidden. Yet these are the moments when God is most actively at work. The slow, steady building is essential for the man to become someone who can stand firm no matter what life throws at him. Understanding that God builds a man over time also helps to foster patience and trust. It encourages a man to embrace the process instead of fighting it. Instead of rushing ahead or trying to skip steps, he learns to be present in each season. Learning, growing, and trusting that God's timing is perfect. This trust does not come easily, especially when the waiting feels long or when struggles are intense, but it is a vital part of being built by God. In the end, when God builds a man over time, the result is something beautiful and lasting. The man that emerges is not defined by quick success or temporary achievements, but by a strength that comes from deep roots of faith, character, and endurance. He is prepared for the future no matter how uncertain or challenging it may be, because he has been shaped carefully and intentionally through every season. So, if you find yourself in a place where growth feels slow or invisible, remember that this is part of the way God builds a man. It is a process that requires patience, faith, and a willingness to trust even when you don't see the whole picture. Every struggle, every silent moment, and every season of waiting is a step in the journey of becoming the man God intends you to be. And that kind of growth, built over time, is the kind that lasts forever. Character is formed in hidden places, often far from the eyes of others, in moments that seem ordinary or even unnoticed. When God shapes a man, he does so not in the grand public events or the applause of the crowd, but in the quiet, private moments where true integrity is tested. These hidden places are where the deepest work takes place, the places where no one is watching and the only audience is God himself. It is here that a man's character is refined, strengthened, and revealed. Many people believe that character is built in moments of fame or success, when a man stands before others and makes bold decisions or grand gestures. But the truth is that these moments only reveal what has already been formed in the private, unseen seasons of life. The challenges and choices made when no one else is around are what truly define a man. It is easy to act with honor when the world is watching, but it is far more difficult to do what is right when there is no recognition or reward. God is most interested in the latter because that is where genuine character lives. The hidden places are often filled with temptation and struggle. These are the times when a man's true nature is put to the test. Will he remain honest when no one else will know if he lies? Will he choose patience when frustration simmers beneath the surface? Will he keep his promises even when it costs him something? These moments require courage and self-control, and they shape the foundation of integrity that a man will carry throughout his life. It is in these small private battles that a man learns what it means to be trustworthy, dependable, and honorable. God uses these quiet moments to teach a man about humility. When a man is away from the spotlight, he cannot rely on praise or recognition to define his worth. Instead, he must learn to find value in who he is, not in what others think of him. This builds a humility that is essential for true leadership and lasting character. Humility allows a man to acknowledge his weaknesses and mistakes, to ask for help, and to grow without arrogance. It is often in the hidden places where a man confronts his flaws and learns to become better, stronger, and more compassionate. In these unseen seasons, a man also learns patience. When there is no immediate reward or recognition, it can be tempting to give up or become discouraged. But God's shaping process often involves waiting and enduring. This waiting is not wasted time, it is a vital part of building character. Patience teaches a man to trust the process, to believe that God is at work even when progress seems slow or invisible. It builds perseverance and faith, qualities that will sustain a man through the toughest challenges. The hidden places also allow for the development of resilience. Life is full of setbacks, failures, and disappointments, many of which happen away from public view. A man built by God learns to rise again after falling, to keep moving forward when circumstances are difficult. Resilience is born in these private moments of struggle and reflection, where a man confronts pain and chooses to keep going anyway. This resilience is what allows a man to stand firm in the face of adversity, to hold on to hope and purpose even when things seem bleak. God's shaping in hidden places is intentional and purposeful. It is not random or without meaning. Every quiet moment, every challenge faced alone, every temptation resisted is a brick in the foundation of a man's character. God is like a master sculptor, patiently chiseling away at what is unnecessary and revealing the beauty beneath. This process may be slow and difficult, but it is thorough and transformative. One of the greatest tests of character in hidden places is faithfulness. Faithfulness means being loyal and committed even when it is hard or when no one else notices. It means showing up consistently, doing what is right, and honoring promises without seeking recognition. A man's faithfulness in the small things reflects his ability to be faithful in the greater things. This faithfulness builds trustworthiness and dependability, qualities that others will come to rely on when it matters most. It is important to recognize that the hidden places are not just physical locations, but also states of the heart and mind. A man may be surrounded by people, but still be in a hidden place if his true character is being tested internally. These moments of internal struggle, facing doubt, temptation, or fear, are just as significant as any external challenge. God is shaping the inner man, the core of who a person is, in these quiet battles of the soul. When a man embraces the hidden places as part of his journey, he begins to understand that true greatness is not about fame, wealth, or public recognition. It is about who he is when no one else is watching, how he acts, what he believes, and the values he lives by. This understanding brings a deep sense of peace and purpose. A man with character built in hidden places is secure in himself because his identity is not tied to external approval, but to God's design and approval. In the end, character formed in hidden places prepares a man for every situation life will throw at him. It equips him to lead with integrity, to love with sincerity, and to live with authenticity. This character does not falter when challenges arise or when temptation knocks at the door. It stands firm because it is grounded in the quiet, consistent work that God has done behind the scenes. So if you find yourself in a season where your efforts seem unnoticed or your struggles feel invisible, take heart. These hidden places are where God is shaping your character, building a foundation that will carry you through all of life's seasons. Remember that true character is forged away from the spotlight, in the moments no one else sees but that matter most to God. And when that character is fully formed, it will shine brightly in every part of your life. Struggles and delays are often the hardest parts of life to understand and accept, especially when they come unexpectedly or seem to last longer than we think we can bear. Yet these experiences are not random or meaningless. They serve a profound purpose in the way God shapes and builds a man. Disappointments, waiting, and challenges are not just obstacles to overcome. They are essential tools that God uses to develop humility, patience, and strengthen a person's life. When a man faces struggles, it often feels like a test of endurance. The natural response is to want relief, to wish for an end to the pain or difficulty. But God uses these times not just to test us, but to teach us. Through struggles, a man learns that he is not invincible and that his own strength has limits. This realization is the beginning of humility, which is foundational to true growth. Humility comes when a man recognizes that he cannot do everything on his own, that he needs help, guidance, and sometimes divine intervention. Without struggles, a man might grow arrogant or self-reliant in unhealthy ways. Struggles humble him, breaking down pride and opening his heart to trust and dependence on God. Delays, too, can be frustrating and confusing. When a man has a goal or a vision, waiting can feel like wasted time. It is easy to become impatient, to question whether the goal is even worth pursuing, or to doubt that God is at work at all. But these delays serve to develop patience, which is a virtue that cannot be rushed. Patience is more than just waiting quietly. It is a deep, active trust that God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't match our own expectations. In the waiting, a man learns to hold on to hope and to keep faith alive, even when there are no immediate signs of progress. This patience shapes a man's character, teaching him to endure without giving up, to remain steadfast and focused despite uncertainty. Challenges, whether they come in the form of personal failures, broken relationships, financial difficulties, or health problems, are powerful teachers. They force a man to confront reality as it is rather than as he wishes it to be. Challenges expose weaknesses, flaws, and areas where growth is needed. Instead of hiding from these difficulties or blaming others, a man who is being built by God learns to face challenges head on. This confrontation builds strength, not just physical or mental strength, but emotional and spiritual strength. It cultivates resilience, the ability to recover and keep moving forward no matter how hard life gets. Disappointments in particular are deeply painful because they involve hopes and dreams that don't come true, plans that fail, or people who let us down. Yet disappointment is also a tool for refining a man's heart. It teaches him to manage expectations, to let go of what he cannot control, and to find peace even when things do not go as planned. Disappointments develop wisdom and perspective, helping a man to see that life is not always about immediate gratification or success. Instead, they point him toward deeper values, faith, character, and long-term purpose. All of these experiences, struggles, delays, challenges, and disappointments work together to build a kind of strength that is rare and enduring. This strength is not about avoiding pain or hardship, but about learning how to thrive despite them. It is the strength that allows a man to stand firm in his beliefs, to act with integrity, and to lead with compassion. This kind of strength is born out of difficulty and is tested through ongoing trials. It is a strength that comes from God's grace, refined by experience. One of the most important lessons learned through struggles and delays is trust. When a man cannot control the outcome of his circumstances, he is forced to trust in something greater than himself. This trust is the foundation of faith. It shifts a man's focus from what he wants or expects to what God is doing behind the scenes. Trust does not mean passive resignation, but active reliance on God's goodness and sovereignty. Through trust, a man finds peace in the midst of uncertainty and hope when all seems lost. Moreover, struggles and delays cultivate empathy and compassion. A man who has faced hardship is more likely to understand and care for others who are struggling. This empathy softens the heart, preventing a man from becoming hardened or bitter. It prepares him to be a better friend, leader, and father, someone who can offer support and encouragement because he has walked a similar path. In this way, the difficulties a man endures not only shape his character, but also expand his capacity to love and serve others. It is also important to realize that struggles and delays are often times of preparation. God uses these seasons to equip a man for future challenges and responsibilities. Just as an athlete trains through tough workouts to perform well in competition, a man is prepared through the difficulties he faces. These experiences build endurance and skill that cannot be gained any other way. When the time comes to step into a new role or mission, a man who has been refined by struggle is ready to lead with wisdom, courage, and grace. Finally, struggles and delays remind a man of the value of perseverance. In a world that often values instant results, perseverance is a countercultural virtue. It means continuing to move forward even when progress is slow, when results are unseen, and when hope feels faint. Perseverance is the fruit of faith in action. It is the daily choice to keep believing and working, trusting that God is faithful and that every season has its purpose. In summary, struggles and delays are far from meaningless setbacks. They are powerful tools in God's hands, designed to develop humility, patience, and strength in a man's life. They teach lessons that comfort and ease never could. They refine character, build faith, and prepare a man for a future filled with purpose. While these seasons may be painful and difficult, they are essential in the journey of becoming the man God intends. Through every struggle and delay, a man is being shaped into someone who can stand strong, lead well, and live fully no matter what life brings. God values who you are more than what you do. This truth runs counter to much of what the world tells us today. In a society obsessed with achievements, titles, and outward success, it's easy to believe that what we do defines our worth. But God looks deeper than accomplishments, awards, or recognition. His focus is on building a man of conviction rather than convenience, a man whose identity is rooted in who he is on the inside, not just in what he produces or accomplishes. The world often measures a person's value by their productivity, their status, or the impact they make. While these things can be significant, they are not the ultimate measure of a person's worth in God's eyes. God cares about the heart, the intentions, the integrity, and the character behind the actions. A man who is built by God is not defined by his resume or the applause he receives, but by the convictions that guide his life and the consistency with which he lives those convictions. Conviction is a powerful foundation. It means having firmly held beliefs and values that do not waver because of circumstances or popular opinion. A man of conviction stands for what is right, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. This kind of man doesn't bend his principles to fit the crowd or to gain approval. He understands that true strength comes from being faithful to who God created him to be, regardless of external pressures or expectations. Convenience, on the other hand, is about taking the easier path, choosing what feels good or what is most beneficial in the short term. A man built by convenience changes his values to suit the moment or to avoid discomfort. His actions may look good on the surface, but they lack the depth and consistency that come from conviction. Convenience leads to compromise, while conviction leads to integrity and authenticity. God's priority is to build men of conviction because these are the men who can lead, inspire, and endure. Conviction grounds a man's identity in something unshakable. When a man knows who he is and what he stands for, he can face challenges and opposition without losing his way. This strength of character is more valuable than any achievement because it lasts through the ups and downs of life. Building a man of conviction requires a focus on the heart rather than just the actions. It means cultivating qualities like honesty, courage, humility, and faithfulness. These qualities cannot be faked or manufactured quickly. They develop over time through choices and experiences. God is more interested in shaping these inner qualities than in counting accomplishments because they form the true measure of a man's character. It is easy to fall into the trap of seeking approval based on what you do rather than who you are. Many men feel pressure to prove themselves by their work, their success, or their influence. While doing good work is important, it should never replace the foundation of identity that comes from being a man of God's making. When a man bases his worth on his achievements, he becomes vulnerable to insecurity and pride. His value fluctuates with his successes and failures rather than remaining steady in God's love and purpose. God reminds us that our identity is rooted in Him first and foremost. Before any accomplishment or recognition, a man is valuable simply because he is created in God's image. This intrinsic worth is unchanging and not dependent on performance. When a man embraces this truth, he can live with freedom and confidence, knowing that his value is secure regardless of external circumstances. Living as a man of conviction also means being willing to stand alone if necessary. Sometimes doing what is right is unpopular or difficult. A man built by conviction chooses integrity over popularity, faithfulness over convenience. He is not swayed by peer pressure or the desire to fit in. Instead, he listens to God's voice and follows His leading, even if the path is hard or lonely. Conviction also affects relationships. A man who values who he is will treat others with respect and love, not because it benefits him or improves his reputation, but because it is the right thing to do. His actions come from a genuine place, not from calculation or convenience. This authenticity builds trust and deepens connections with others. Moreover, God values the process of becoming a man of conviction more than the end results. It's not just about what a man achieves, but about how he becomes that man through choices, trials, and perseverance. The journey of growing in conviction is often marked by challenges that test and refine faith. God uses these moments to strengthen character and root identity in Him. A man of conviction also understands the importance of humility. Conviction is not about being stubborn or rigid. It is about being anchored in truth while remaining open to growth and correction. Humility allows a man to acknowledge his limitations, to seek wisdom, and to serve others selflessly. It is this balance of conviction and humility that God desires to see in a man. Ultimately, God's goal is to build men who reflect His character. Men who are steadfast, trustworthy, and loving. These qualities cannot be measured by accomplishments alone. They are seen in how a man lives his life daily, in the decisions he makes when no one is watching, and in the faith he holds on to through trial. So when you feel the pressure to prove your worth by what you do, remember that God values who you are far more. Focus on building your character, grounding yourself in conviction, and living authentically before Him. Your true value is found not in your achievements, but in the person God is shaping you to be. And that person, built on conviction rather than convenience, will stand strong and make a lasting impact far beyond any temporary success. A man built by God is unshaken by storms. This is not because he avoids difficulties or that challenges never come his way. On the contrary, storms, whether they be trials, hardships, or unexpected setbacks, are inevitable parts of life. What makes the difference is the foundation on which a man stands. When a man is built by God, his foundation is solid, rooted deeply in faith and purpose. Because of this strong base, he can endure storms without falling apart, without losing hope or direction, and without being overwhelmed by the chaos around him. Life's storms can take many forms: personal loss, failure, rejection, illness, or betrayal. These storms test a man's character and faith like nothing else. A man whose foundation is weak will likely be tossed about by the winds of adversity, becoming discouraged, bitter, or lost. But a man built by God stands firm. His strength comes not from his own power, but from the unshakable rock on which he has built his life. This rock is faith in God and a clear sense of purpose given by Him. Faith is the anchor in the storm. When troubles arise, a man with faith does not panic or despair because he trusts in God's sovereignty and goodness. He believes that no matter how fierce the storm, God is in control and working for his good. This trust does not eliminate pain or difficulty, but it changes the way he faces those challenges. Faith gives him courage to stand tall and peace to remain calm amid chaos. It prevents him from falling apart because he knows he is not alone. God is with him through every trial. Purpose is the other crucial part of a man's foundation. When a man understands why he is here and what he is meant to do, he has a sense of direction that storms cannot erase. Purpose provides meaning to suffering, transforming trials from random hardships into opportunities for growth and fulfillment. A man built by God sees storms as part of a larger story, a story where he is called to persevere, learn, and become more like the man God created him to be. This perspective fuels resilience and determination. Because his foundation is solid, a man built by God can absorb the impact of storms without breaking. He does not crumble under pressure or lose his sense of identity when circumstances are difficult. Instead, he adapts and grows stronger. The storms shape him rather than shatter him, like a tree with deep roots that bends in the wind but does not fall. A man with a firm foundation endures and emerges from trials with greater strength and wisdom. This unshakable nature is not something a man develops overnight. It is the result of years of growth, learning, and refinement. Each challenge faced and overcome builds more resilience. Every time a man leans on his faith and stays true to his purpose through hardship, his foundation becomes more secure. God uses storms as tools to build strength and maturity, preparing the man for even greater challenges ahead. Moreover, being unshaken by storms does not mean a man is emotionless or unaffected by pain. A man built by God feels deeply and may experience sorrow, frustration, or fear, but his foundation prevents those emotions from controlling him or causing him to lose hope. He processes his feelings honestly, but chooses to hold onto faith and purpose above all else. This emotional maturity is a hallmark of a man who is truly grounded. The strength of this foundation also impacts how a man relates to others during storms. Instead of withdrawing or becoming bitter, he can offer support, encouragement, and stability to those around him. His unshaken presence becomes a source of hope for family, friends, and community. Because he stands firm, he can help others stand as well, showing them by example what it means to trust God and remain steadfast through hardship. A man built by God also understands the importance of humility in the face of storms. He acknowledges that his strength does not come from himself alone, but from God's grace and power. This humility keeps him connected to God, preventing pride or self-reliance from undermining his foundation. It allows him to seek help when needed, to pray for guidance, and to accept support from others without shame. Humility deepens his faith and strengthens his resilience. Ultimately, being unshaken by storms is about living with a deep inner peace that cannot be disturbed by external circumstances. This peace is a gift from God, cultivated through faith, purpose, and trust. It is a peace that allows a man to face any storm with confidence, knowing that he is held securely no matter what happens. This peace shines through his actions and words, inspiring those around him and testifying to the power of a life built on God's foundation. In a world where uncertainty and hardship are common, being unshaken is a rare and valuable quality. It is the mark of a man who has been thoroughly shaped and equipped by God. His foundation is not built on shifting sands of fortune or fleeting success, but on the eternal truths of faith and purpose. Because of this, no storm can sweep him away. So when storms come, and they will, remember that a man built by God has what it takes to endure. His strength is not in avoiding storms, but in standing firm through them. His foundation in faith and purpose keeps him steady, grounded, and hopeful. And through every trial, he grows stronger, becoming more like the man God intended him to be, unshaken, unwavering, and victorious. The process may be painful, but it's intentional. When you find yourself in a difficult season filled with trials, setbacks, or unexpected hardships, it's natural to wonder why you're going through such pain. Many people instinctively think that suffering is a form of punishment, or that it means they have done something wrong. But the truth is often very different. Rather than punishment, these hard seasons are part of God's intentional work in your life, preparing and building you for what lies ahead. Painful seasons don't come without purpose. God is not indifferent to your suffering. He is deeply involved in it. The difficulties you face are tools in His hands, carefully shaping your character, faith, and strength. Every hardship, disappointment, or moment of confusion is part of a larger plan designed to prepare you for the future God has for you. The process may feel harsh and unfair at times, but it is never random or wasted. One of the reasons the process is painful is because real growth often requires breaking down old ways of thinking, habits, or comforts. Like a gardener pruning a tree, God allows seasons of discomfort to remove what no longer serves your growth. This pruning might be painful because it involves loss, letting go, or facing uncomfortable truths about yourself or your circumstances. But without this intentional pruning, you cannot bear the fruit God intends for you. Painful seasons prepare you by clearing the way for new growth and greater strength. This process also builds endurance. Life is not always easy or smooth, and the reality is that challenges will continue to come. God's purpose in allowing painful seasons is to develop perseverance within you. Perseverance is a skill, a habit of continuing forward even when you want to quit, even when the way is unclear or discouraging. It is developed in the furnace of adversity. When you push through pain and keep trusting God, you grow a resilience that will carry you through future storms. The process is intentional because it prepares you to handle whatever comes next. Another important aspect of this intentional process is the development of deeper faith. When life is easy, faith can sometimes be superficial, based mostly on comfort or blessings. But when pain comes, faith is tested and refined. Hard seasons force you to look beyond circumstances and rely more fully on God's promises, His character, and His presence. You learn to trust Him not just for immediate relief, but for ultimate good and eternal purpose. This deeper faith is a precious outcome of the painful process. Sometimes God uses these seasons to teach humility. Pain and hardship can expose areas of pride or self-reliance that must be broken down. When things go wrong, it becomes clear that you need help beyond yourself. Humility opens your heart to receive God's grace, wisdom, and guidance. It positions you to be shaped in ways that only surrender to God's will can accomplish. This surrender is essential for being built into the man God intends you to be. The intentional nature of the process also means that you are not alone in your struggles. God is with you in every step, working through the pain to accomplish His purpose. His presence brings comfort, strength, and hope, even when the process feels unbearable. Knowing that God is actively involved can change how you experience the pain. Instead of feeling abandoned or defeated, you can find assurance that this season has meaning and that He is working on your behalf. Understanding that the process is intentional helps to shift perspective. Instead of seeing pain as meaningless suffering, you begin to see it as preparation. This shift changes how you respond to difficulties. Rather than becoming bitter, anxious, or hopeless, you can choose to embrace the process with faith and patience. You start to ask, what is God teaching me? How is He building me through this? This attitude opens the door for transformation rather than despair. It's also important to remember that the process doesn't last forever. Seasons of pain are temporary, even if they feel long. God uses these seasons to equip you for something greater, and there is always a purpose beyond the current struggle. Just as a blacksmith heats and shapes metal before it becomes a useful tool or weapon, God's painful process is preparing you for your next season of service, leadership, or fulfillment. Holding on to this truth provides hope and motivation to endure. The intentional process can lead to new clarity and direction. Sometimes pain is God's way of redirecting you toward a better path or purpose. When old plans fail or fall apart, it can feel devastating, but it may actually be God's hand guiding you toward what is best. The hardships reveal what truly matters, refine your priorities, and prepare you to embrace new opportunities with wisdom and strength. The process builds a man who is ready not just to survive, but to thrive in God's calling. It is also crucial